Okay, welcome to episode 26 of the Freedom Hustles podcast. My name's John Banks over at sideincommand.com. I'm with Andy Lehman, as always, from the freedomskillsacademy.com. Hello, Andy. How are you? You right?
I am not doing too bad. I've supposedly on a week's holiday, but I'm decorating. So as you can see, it's not much of a holiday. So
No. Yeah.
painting ceilings is not my idea of fun.
No.
How are you doing?
Yeah, bizarrely the same, actually. We had had some decorating to do, daughter's bedroom,
Mm-hmm.
and then we had a leak, as the same, standard
You got it sorted?
wear and tear of owning a home. Yeah, not quite. It's not leaking much anymore, but I still need to do a proper fix on it.
Yeah.
But that'll be out of my hands. I've got a plumber coming out. Anyway, so on to today.
Yep.
What are we talking about today?
I'm just going to talk about the different forms of traffic generation because we talk about online businesses and they are great. There's lots of great online businesses, but without traffic, they're dead in the water. Really, the traffic is the lifeblood. You need people coming to your websites or products. So, I thought we would talk about different forms of traffic generation.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, it is, isn't it? Like you say, people have these wonderful ideas, and there's so many great websites and so many great channels out there on YouTube and stuff like that. And unfortunately, perhaps they're not getting the sort of, the right kind of levels of engagement and traffic and rewards that they often deserve. But it's not an easy game, is it? Traffic. I mean, I'd say we probably break it into three categories, can't we? I mean,
Yep.
you've obviously got your free traffic, your paid traffic, and then your ultimate one, which is sort of traffic you own. So I think, if we break down this evening's podcast into that, so starting off,
Yep.
number one, probably free traffic. Loads of different ways in which you can do that.
That's right. I mean, ultimately, like you say, traffic you own is the destination, and free traffic and paid traffic is the way. Is it leading up to the traffic you own? But with free traffic, there's quite a few different ways to get traffic to your website. Some require quite a bit of work. Some work better than others. Some I'm not quite sure if they still work today or not. And one of the first ones I was going to talk about is guest blogging. Now, guest blogging used to work. It used to be something that was really big in the old days because it was all to do with the links, which is more sort of SEO. But the way I think Google have changed things now, you can't really have like a no follow link, or there's all these kind of strange changes from when we used to do guest blogging. However, guest blogging can still work if you've got a reputation with a relationship with the website and they're happy for you to publish on their blog, because then you can hijack their traffic. So if they've got a decent number of people, then you can write something which then points back to your website. Forgetting about the SEO benefits of a link. If you go to a blog that's got a lot of traffic and you're able to write something, then you can hijack quite a bit of traffic mainly over the 24 hours of it being published, and then drip feed for the next so many months, even a couple of years. But so guest blogging was one of the first methods. Now, I don't know what your thoughts are. I mean, I don't know what the SEO quality is of guest blogging these days.
Yeah, guest posting used to be a big thing, didn't it? I think it has unfortunately lost its. I wouldn't say it's lost its appeal in terms of traffic wise. I mean, people still do it. I actually, I don't see why anyone shouldn't do it, especially when you're starting out. It sort of builds a brand, it builds an awareness. It gets you in front of, perhaps other people's audience and that sort of thing. So it is a good way, especially when you're starting out. And I definitely think that is something that should be on someone's, kind of little traffic Rolodex when they're starting out. Certainly in the free ones. Let's be honest. There's none of, when we say free, we mean purely monetary. I mean, you are still going to have to spend a lot of time on this, but then obviously you've got all the social media platforms now. I mean, we're not going to go into too much detail on all of them. Everyone is aware of all of that, and the potential that you've got with that. You've got Facebook groups, your own Facebook personal page. Same with Twitter, and LinkedIn as well, which is gaining a lot more. I mean, I know it's been around a long time, but it's still a really popular platform, especially in the sort of business to business world. but the one I would say, I mean, if people are gonna, if you want to go down the sort of social route, it's not really a social media platform anymore. But I would advise starting out on Pinterest.
Yeah, I was
Um,
going to mention Pinterest.
yeah,
Yeah.
the reason for that is it's a search engine now. I mean, it is. I guess it kind of, you could say it started out like that, but and it did sort of start out in the very kind of um, it was kind of sort of female niches, if I can say that.
Like a scrapbook, wasn't it, where you
Yeah,
saved
you sort of,
images that you liked of.
yeah, you sort of build your little boards, they're called, so Pinterest boards up, and you'd go on there, and there'd be a lot of sort of interior designers, there'd be a lot of wedding planners, and garden design, and it was a very visual. It is a very visual thing, but now it's kind of transformed into a search engine. So now you can get things like how to, I don't know, lay paving, or how to you know decorate your lounge, or
Mm.
and you can even get things like things that talk like that we talk about, things like top 5 side hustles for stay-at-home mums or something like that, and you'll get this whole kind of list of results, and they'll all be visual, so they're all like sort of mini infographics, or pictures with a title on it, and that's to basically try and lure people in to then click through. And
Mm.
it's probably, I would say, the most reward for the hours you put in, and the reward that you can get back in terms of traffic, and I mean real traffic. um I would say it's probably up there with one of the best ones, certainly for starting out.
Yeah, I mean, like you said about it being a search engine, with it being visual as well, is a lot more appealing than going to sort of Google, because you can see something that catches your eye. Because we are very visual creatures. But going back to the idea of the guest posting on the social media, is like if you do guest posting on somebody else's blog, chances are they'll probably share it on social media, and they'll probably
Yeah.
also put it on Pinterest. And Pinterest is great for traffic. We've had some quite a
Mm.
good sort of traffic from Pinterest on some of our blog articles in the past.
Yeah, I mean, exactly that. And what I will say is there's a lot more longevity with some of this stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're on about. I mean, yeah, we moved around the pets and sort of animals related blog. That that was a really that hit the nail really, because of the visual side of it, and that was a really easy one.
Mm.
You just whack it on there, and we were getting, I don't know, hundreds of thousands of page views from that, and that went on for years. It probably, almost after we left it alone, it still kept bringing in thousands of hits,
Yeah.
and that's the beauty of it, because it is a search engine. Basically, if anyone that goes in and searches for a certain query or term, if something's already been viewed thousands of times over, then that's likely that's going to come up at the top of the search. So yeah, I would recommend that. I mean, the other, I, I don't think this is the holy grail. Everyone goes on about Google SEO, and trying to become the sort of hands off and having your rank on first page. That is great. Don't get me wrong, that is great. And good luck if you can get some articles ranking on the first pages of Google and all that. But again, the likelihood of a brand new blog ranking on page one very quickly, I'd say within the first few months, is
Mm.
really, really hard. And as we know, Google can always change the rules anyway. And
Yeah.
before you know it, you're on page 10 and no one looks past page 1. So
A lot of people like the idea of getting traffic from Google to their website for free because it's free
yeah,
and they can generate money
yeah.
from it. But correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't you not so long back tell me that you were talking to a woman who she was making well over $1,000 a month? I mean, at one point, I think there was like between $150 and $200 a day on one of her blogs, and the majority of her traffic was just Pinterest.
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, I've numerous times, yeah.
So that's
I've
free
interviewed.
traffic generating money,
Hmm.
all from sort of Pinterest. So
Yeah, completely. Mm.
yeah,
Oh yeah,
don't-
it can be done. I mean, look, but then I think like this is going to lead us to where we're ultimately heading, which is obviously step number 3. But
yeah,
I think the great thing with these is it is all free, so you can start now. You don't need any money. Once you got your domain and your website up, you can literally start. It's literally just about get your head down, have a system, churn out the content. Obviously, make it something that people are going to want to read and people that are looking for. But you can find that out if you go on Pinterest now. Just do a query and do a search at the top, and it will give you a whole list of other options. It's the same for Google. When you put in your Google search, what happens? You get a load of suggested searches. They're suggested because they're real. So, you can go in and start writing blogs around stuff that people are already searching for. That's a great move, but don't expect quick results. And then just keep going. And that is, one of the pitfalls of the free one is you aren't going to get quick results. Put it that way.
You got to work at it, definitely. So just sticking with Pinterest briefly, would you say Pinterest was probably actually better and more important than Facebook?
Yeah, I think so.
Because I'm beginning to think it is for several reasons. Because first of all, like you say, Pinterest is a search engine, so people can search for the content. It's visual, and a lot of the time it sort of stays there. With Facebook, it disappears, and their search is rubbish. And the fact is, they have that kind of edge rank where they show it to news feeds. Pinterest, I don't think is particularly like that, is it? So for me, if you were to start a blog now or an online business, and you were going to create articles or products, and you wanted people to go back to your website, then it's probably actually worth thinking about opening up a Pinterest account over Facebook and Twitter. Actually, thinking about it.
Yeah, I'd probably agree with that.
Yeah,
I would probably agree with that. I'm just gonna we'll carry on the pod, but I am trying to in the background to have a look, and while we're here, and see if I can just pull up our analytics on the website that we did used to use.
Yeah.
So the animal one, so in the last, this is bearing in mind we've not touched this now for years. So we're still getting 1,400 hits a month. And that is source on that is 80%. So that's 80% social Pinterest traffic. And that would have been, we haven't touched that for how long now? 2 years, maybe 3 years?
I think the last time I did something on there was at least a year and a half, 2 years ago as an experiment. I certainly haven't touched it. We haven't done anything like we were doing things daily.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
You're still saying that we're getting around 1,000 hits and 80% is roughly coming from Pinterest.
Yeah.
So that just goes to show you how.
Exactly. They do gain a bit of strength. And like you say, once they kind of take hold, they become almost that's a little rank. It's like a little engine. But there is the kind of a social element because you do grow followers. You do get followers. So obviously when you share a post, some of it will go out to the people that follow you anyway. And then the rest of it will just get consumed in the search engine. And then eventually the ones that are good enough, they stick and they rank. But anyway, so that's kind of step one. But obviously there's a whole load more on that, but we can't really go into all of them. But essentially guest posts, social media, stuff like that.
Another quick one before we disappear. Something like this, podcasting takes time, but it's free to do.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. So number 2 then. So we've done the free traffic generation, and like we said, there's quite a lot. But the paid traffic is number 2. So that's where you are basically now handing cash over to certain people to drive traffic back to your website. And the first thing that springs to most people's minds is Facebook.
Yeah, Facebook ads. It's probably the juggernaut, obviously with the exception of Google, but it's certainly the social media platform of choice when it comes to running paid ads for the majority of marketers now. Let's face it. I mean, it just seems to have an abundance of more kind of targeting options. I think that's the main reason why people tend to go there.
I think as well, the other thing over, say, Google ads, I mean, Google ads are often evolving and changing. They can do banner ads and images and videos, but on the whole, with Facebook, you land in somebody's feed and they're often article depth, aren't they? Only just the other day, I got a sponsored post from a guy who I'm on his email list. And as I was reading through his advert, because obviously I like to read the copy, I like to read what they're about, and I thought I recognised this. Basically, everything that he wrote in an email, he wrote into the Facebook advert and shared it. And it was near enough word for word. I ought to go in and just double check, but a huge chunk of that advert was an article which he'd use as the email. So you can get a lot more wordage, in there. People use videos as well and sort of image galleries or whatever, the carousels. But compared to Google Ads, which, don't get me wrong, a lot of people still use them. If it's just an image with a couple of bit of text or a video, you can place them all over the internet, can't you? With that, stick it on YouTube,
yeah,
and other people's websites. But Facebook, you do get a lot more opportunity to say what your ads about, your products about.
Yeah, 100%. Again, though, unfortunately, we can talk from experience on this, and that is be aware of the rules. This is one of the downfalls of I think number 2, and that is you are always playing in somebody else's playground, and you have to remember that always. And at the drop of a hat, things can happen. Your ads can get banned. Your accounts can get shut down. And you can, if you rely solely on it, then just make sure you know every nook and cranny of the terms and conditions and that sort of thing.
And the problem is as well, it changes because, it used to be frowned upon, sort of. They don't like the idea of running adverts for gambling products or anything to do with, sort of gambling. But just recently, I'm starting to see adverts on Facebook for sports trading. Not necessarily calling it gambling, but if they're talking about, it's the same thing. It is the same thing. And years ago, that would have been frowned upon. So whether they've relaxed their rules or not, I don't know. But, so somebody could have had their account banned a few years ago for trying to do like a gambling product, only to come back to Facebook and find other people illegally doing it now. And it's like, well, that's a bit pap. But as you say, you're always at the mercy of their decision makers, which can change regularly. So that's the Facebook, and that's Google Ads. There's a whole host of places. Like you said, buy-sell ads, solo ads, sponsored content. That's very similar to guest blogging, guest posting. The only difference is that you pay for the privilege. So if you're doing it free, you build up a relationship with a website. They may allow you to do it, but basically other places will say yes, you can, but it's going to cost you. So you pay to have your article placed on a very popular website, and even in people's emails. And I think we spoke about this last week.
Yeah, you mentioned it. You saw it. You contacted the company or something.
Yeah, well, they were charging around $4,000. It was a huge email list, and you were sponsoring content within the email, so you could write as much as you want, or as little as you want. And interestingly, I don't know if some people are using click arbitrage, which is something we've talked about in another podcast. But some of the content I saw in the email was sending people to sort of websites with videos on, which I think was just surrounded by adverts. So how much traffic they were getting from that. That's sponsored content.
Yeah, that's interesting. Because theirs was a one-off fee, wasn't it? So they must kind of know how much they're going to get back for that £400, and then or $400,
$4,000.
$4,000. That was obviously for a mass email. Yeah, okay. Yeah, they must have worked out. Blimey, yeah. If they can make even if they make 4,500 on the back end, then you do it all day, wouldn't you?
I don't know how. I'm assuming that they know the demographic of that email, and they figured out what will attract them, and then they've created advertising or content around that which appeals to that specific demographic. But 4,000, it was only just for the one email. So you send it out to. It was near enough. I can't remember how many it was, about 100,000 people. It was a big email list. But 4,000. So even if you get 4,000 people out of that 100,000 going back to the website, they generate $1. They're near enough break even. But it was a lot of money. So that is sponsored.
It's one of them things. Yeah, I mean, paid ads. There's loads of other ones like we should just quickly touch on, but yeah, virtually all the social media platforms have a paid ad, facility now. Some slightly less known ones, things like Quora. I don't know if anyone's aware of that. It's Quora. Quora. It's a question and answer site basically, but they've now started doing sponsored content in there. Yeah, and then another one we talked about, which we have talked about it before, but that's native ads. Now we've talked about it as from the advertiser's point of view, so like making money from it. But in actual fact, if you flip the other side of the fence, you become you can actually use them ads as part of your traffic campaign. Native ads. We've not had a go at those, I don't think, have we? But actually, I think we did. Didn't we use Taboola once? Anyway, but yeah, so that's native ads. They're the kind of ones that sit at the bottom of the blog post. They kind of make out that they almost blend into the website, don't they, and look similar. But
yeah.
Yeah,
Great way to monetize a website, but obviously people are using them because another place is revcontent.com, and I was looking at that, and there's quite a few affiliate marketers and advertising revenue marketers who are using places like Taboola, Content Ad, rev.com to place adverts in the network, which get shown on other people's websites, drive the traffic back to their own website, and then they generate money from whatever it is that they're selling, promoting, or whatever. So I mean, there's a lot of networks out there. Buy sell ads, that's another one. They you can place adverts on big websites, things like Forbes.
There's the shout out one in there that we talked about the other week, which is all about getting shout outs from like top sort of social media influencers and that. They'll pay them like $50 and they'll put a little link on the top of their bio, things like in Instagram, and it's good. They'll deliver. They'll give you some traffic. Whether any will convert, it's difficult. One thing I will say just before we move on is, if you're going to do paid ads, then just scale very carefully. I mean, do not go in and just chuck hundreds of dollars at it and expect it to work. It probably won't. It's like everything. You have to test. It might take a long time and some money until you find your sweet spot, until you find your target audience. And, and that's part of the learning curve. Unfortunately, there's no answer. There's no right or wrong. We don't know. It's just a matter of discovering it. And, it will.
Yeah, you could run 10 adverts, and out of those 10 adverts, 8, possibly 9 could be a failure, but 1 will probably be a winner.
Yeah.
But
then you kind of know, then you sort of tweak that.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so that's paid traffic. And again, paid traffic, like you said, with the free traffic, results take time. With paid traffic, you can generally get a quick result to your website a lot quicker. And it's what a lot of people are doing really these days. The successful internet marketers, successful businesses that you are seeing on there, who are giving these examples saying, I made $1,000 this week, whatever, chances are they are running paid advertising because it's going to take, there's so much stuff on the internet and there's so many people going to different places to try and get a lot of free traffic and start making a lot of money fast is well, quite difficult. So paid traffic is what most of the people don't tell you. It's what a lot of the gurus do. It's their secret sauce, really. Then the third option, which is traffic you own, which is the ultimate. That's what you're going to use free traffic and paid traffic ultimately for, isn't it? So you can create traffic you own. So you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so a lot of people might be thinking, what do you mean, traffic you own? Or, they haven't heard that term before, or, they're a bit confused by that. And basically what we mean by that is traffic that you essentially, at the drop of a hat, can kind of control and send out. One example would be in the form of an email list. So let's say, you've got 20,000 subscribers on your email list. And then basically at the drop of a hat, you can compose an email. Say you've just written a new blog post. You could literally write an email out, say, here's this new blog post, check it out, blah, blah, blah. Obviously a little bit more context than that. And then you just click send. And then that email will go out to 20,000 of your subscribers. Now, not all of them will obviously open it up, But essentially, if say you've just got a 20% open rate, then all of a sudden you got 4,000 people that have just opened and visited your website. So that's what we mean when we say traffic you own. And that probably about it, that is where you start getting the best result, isn't it?
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, you can also, I suppose you can say Facebook groups, or even to a point, Facebook page fans are sort of traffic you owe, apart from Facebook, are pretty rubbish at showing your content to everybody else. But yeah, so email is probably the ultimate. And like you say, YouTube subscribers, that's a big thing as well, because if you're using YouTube, and there's there's some big players out there who are making thousands of dollars a month off their YouTube videos, and that's because they have a huge subscriber base. So every time, because I've been in there before and I've seen videos that have only been released within like a few days or even a week, and they've been seen by thousands of people, and you go see their subscribers and you can see why. Because they get a notification which tells them, this says you're following such and such a person, they've just published a new video, and so people go and see it. And
you do, and that's exactly what happened. I mean, if you've got, like, let's say, these diehard YouTube subscribers and that, they will they jump on the fact that, like, if a channel that they really like and they want to follow, they will immediately, as soon as that guy's published a video, they turn the little notification bell on. So they rush over to YouTube, they get on it. They like to be the first people to comment on the video, because that, like we talked about earlier, that is a little way that they then people read them comments and they go, oh, who's this guy? Oh, he sounds right. They then go over to their channel, and that's how people can get subscribers their way. So there's another one which not a lot of people may know about, which is the whole kind of, when you get these like desktop notifications now, and you can get them on your phone and things like that. If you visit a website, it says this website wants to send you notifications. You just say allow or block.
Yeah.
Literally one click. That's all it is. You don't have to put your email address in, name, nothing like that. You just click on it. Now, they are really popular now. They're starting to kind of gain a bit of traction. If you go to subscribers.com, that's the website. You can sign up for a free account there, and you just basically install the snippet on your website. And I think the free account, you can get like 500 for free. And then you can start sending out those. And I've just started experimenting with that. And again, it's a quick way, an easy way of just, getting a little bit more traffic that you control and that, you can start sending people to.
So basically, every time you publish something to the blog, it sends out a message to all those people.
No. I mean, you could probably set it up like that in the premium versions.
Right.
But on the free one, you have to compose the message, and then you just click send, and it will automatically send it out to everyone. Well, if they're not on, the next time they log on to that browser, they'll get that.
Yeah. Okay.
So there's those three. I mean, you've seen the benefits massively, haven't you? Of an email list.
Yeah. Time and time again, it's it's tried and tested. It's proven. It's just one of those things. If you see a lot of products out there selling about email marketing, there's a reason why. It's because it works, and it does. It's like you say, it's traffic you own, and it's one of those where, unlike Google or unlike the free traffic or the search engines, where you're relying on people finding you or coming back to you by choice. With email, they've signed up for something. You send them a message, and you basically can point them to any direction you want.
Yeah.
Obviously, like you say, there's never 100% open rate. Not everybody signs up and then reads all the emails, but they may not read the next 5. But then one day they might see a headline that pops up, and it's like, oh, but you're getting straight into them. And it's often easier to get people from an email list to your website than it is people from sort of social media or from Google. So definitely powerful stuff.
That's the sort of pole star, isn't it? That's where everyone should be aiming for. I think anyone that builds a website in any niche, I don't care what it is, start from day one trying to collect leads in some form. You know, we've just given you 3 there. You know, obviously you can mix and match or use all 3, but you know, email lists, you know, web notifications. If you're building a YouTube channel, obviously try and get subscriber rate up. I guess that goes the same in social media. You know, you want to try and get followers and things like that, but I still don't think it's got the same appeal, like you say, as
The thing with email, the thing with email is that I was going to say Facebook doesn't show your content to everyone. With an email, you have a similar risk of it falling into the spam filter and people not reading it. But you know, you craft something, and you don't necessarily need to have a huge email list depending on what products you're. I mean, you know full well that I crafted an email not so long back, and one person went and bought a product which made over $900.
Yeah.
You know, it's just and that was just one email to one person.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
I mean, you imagine having a product that is necessary and needed, and you send that to an email list of 1,000 or 2,000 or 10,000. You know, so let's say that 10% of those people sign up for the product, which again is around $900.
Yeah.
You know, and then do it again the next month.
And like you say, that's own. They've given you permission. They've opted into your email list. You know, they've accepted that. They know that you're going to email them back. And don't worry about it if people leave. If they leave, so what? It's just part and parcel of it. Yeah, that's why the unsubscribe button's there. But okay, so I guess we should just wrap up for tonight. 3 methods there. We talked about 3 methods, obviously, to begin with, and I don't want anyone to dismiss any of these. We all still should be doing them. Do you know what I mean? As part of growing a business online, you still should be, you know, writing content and creating content and not promoting it. That's you shouldn't promote and pay for everything. You know, still deliver, still give out free content, and don't. You know, you should still be trying to get things ranked and things like that. But you know, it's a slow process. Don't think any of that stuff. I think that's not the quick wins, is it? And number 2, we've talked about paid traffic, and then you know, loads of different ways. And my only advice with that is just go in with a little bit of caution. Again, you're not probably going to hit a home run straight out of the park on the first go, but it can happen. Yeah, we've seen that before, where you can get some ridiculously cheap traffic. And then obviously it leads to the ultimate one, which is the traffic that you own. So that's the kind of wrap up for me. Do all 3, but you want to be aiming for the 3rd one.
Definitely. Yeah, if it depends on what your content is on your website, but I must admit, I'm thinking search engine optimization, that kind of content is going to happen naturally anyway, whether you work on it or not, to a degree. So, but I am actually thinking, if you're starting up afresh, I'm beginning to wonder whether Pinterest should be your main focus compared to some of the others. And then also consider Facebook ads. Again, it depends on what your content is, or wanting some paid adverts, because then it's healthy to have a balance of free traffic and paid traffic without bogging yourself down, without too much work. I mean, there's so many different ways of doing free traffic, but by the time you try to Twitter, Facebook, Instagram posts, you sort of spread yourself too thin. So, but yeah, like you say, ultimately you want to build up your own email list or your YouTube subscribers, whatever it is, so that you've got a large following of fanatical fans, a tribe of people that who are already kind of pre-sold. So yeah, there you go. That's what I think. Sort of
okay.
Focus both of them.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks very much for listening. This has been episode 26. My name has been John Banks. You can find me over at sideincomman.com. I've been with.
I'm Andy Lehman. You'll find me over at freedomskillsacademy.com. And so thank you very much again for listening. And hopefully we'll meet you again next week in episode 27.
Thanks very much.